all have any suggestions for nonprofit organizations do you have any expectations from the charities that you're supporting, specific types of communications that you like to receive or get tired of receiving, or anything you would like to see more of or less of from any nonprofit organizations that you support? Anything that they could do better?
Well, I think that it has to fit the character of the organization. We're sitting here at U of L, and U of L is one of the more effective fundraising organizations. It invests in fundraising heavily. Obviously, there's like 300 people on staff just in the fundraising department. There's about $1 billion crusade. And they're spending to do that. Other organizations are more human services, have leaner budgets, and can't afford to invest in the kind of glossy materials that they have, the reception, the open bars, and the other things that universities have. It has to be appropriate. I know I'm on do a lot of work with United Way still, and it's always discussed if they have a nice event, it's always either covered by sponsorships or covered by the individuals coming to it and paying for it. But it still needs to be nice, but it needs to be appropriate for the organization. So lots of these glossy newsletters and other things I ask questions about myself. E-newsletters are very effective and get through and tell the story and are cheap. That's fine. Probably could do a few of those.
One thing that I look at, there's an organization that I think does a terrific job. They've been around for a long time, and what they do is they kind of connect you to the end user. Every year, I get a letter from an organization to support. It's for financial aid for students, and every year we'll get a letter from a student, introducing themselves, telling us what they're studying, and we save those letters. And it's gotten to the point now where I run into these individuals out in the community, and it's just really neat to have that connection. But it's having that connection to the end user. And when we go out and make site visits, that's what we're interested in. We really don't want to talk to the organized aspect of it. We want to talk to the end user to see, how they're being impacted. And there's a fine line from a respectful standpoint, from a standpoint of not exploiting that. But I think it's very, very effective. And from our standpoint, one of the things that we love are challenge grants. Whether we're doing something and challenging others, or whether we know there's an opportunity out there where there's a challenge grant, that's something that we can support, because like everybody else, we like to leverage our funds, and that's a great opportunity to do it.
Priscilla, did you have anything to add?
Well, as far as how we decide which charities to give to, it's definitely not mass mailing. Please stop sending them all. All in the recycle. We want to target our funds to groups we know about and know their story. But we have a big family. Nobody has time to do all the vetting and figuring out which are the better organizations, which are more efficient, which of the funds do more good, and all that. So we really rely on the Community Foundation and other groups, to do that for us. And then when we get suggestions how we can be part of a campaign or something going on, like the water treatment plant down in Haiti, for example, which is a local company. When we get ideas like that, then we're happy to consider them and support them. But I really think there's so many charities out there. They're all so doing such good work, and they're all so needy, and they've all had their funding impacted that story gets old, and it's hard for us to sort through all that. So we go through the Community Foundation. I think we've decided as a family that that's going to be our answer. Instead of doing all the work ourselves, we're going to let them do it.
your happiest moments in giving?
You know, I used to do a fundraising. I've been on both sides of the table. Ran the Tocqueville Society here locally. I think recruited about 100 people that gave $10,000 and $1 million on it. And it was one-on-one asking and one-on small group asking. And I always said, part of the speech, we counted a story, the more you give, the more you receive. And one of the happiest moments, and if you can figure out how to spin it into your own story, is when I really started to believe that, and it really was working. So we would increase philanthropy, circumstances would come around and generate the resources to fill that philanthropy even more. And I've spoken to larger groups where we've talked about that, and always afterwards somebody comes, you know, that's absolutely the case. And that realization that there is some cosmic reciprocity in giving was, I thought, a very joyful moment for me. I realized I could give, and it wasn't taking away from me.
How much does your relationship with board members or staff members influence how you give, what you give, and understanding of who you're giving to? Do you need to know them to have that, with the difficulties of nonprofits and some of their issues at times?
Doesn't hurt. Yes, it does help. Yeah. But then you get the personal story. You get somebody that you know and you trust that tells you that now you're helping.
I think at a leadership level giving, anyway, not at a micro or internet kind of giving, but a leadership level giving, it's always giving to the person. So the person has made that ask and either conveyed the story. Maybe when there's a hurricane or something and there's a big uprising, that's true. It's not true. But it's always giving to the person. So those relationships with board members or whoever can, in a trusted and non-intrusive way, get to them and tell the story is critical.
And I think it's an opportunity just to understand the organization. If I don't know a lot about the organization, I'll look and see who's involved with it. And it gives me a resource too to call and talk to them. And it gives a lot of credibility to a lot of organizations.
Do you have any other questions? Yes.
There are many options out there for giving, and I'm just wondering, when you set up your funds, what drew you to the Community Foundation?
I know from our standpoint, we were fortunate. We worked with Nolan Allen, Cotton Allen at the time, and it was always a dream of ours to establish a fund. At that time, we had a lot of businesses and a lot of entities, and the last thing I wanted was another, something else I had to manage. With the Community Foundation, it gave us the opportunity to let them kind of deal with all the administrative aspects of things, and it gave us the opportunity really just to focus on the fun part of it, which was giving the money away. So, it was a great relationship. It was a great vehicle for us at the time and still to this day.
I had a question. I haven't heard from Mrs. Campisano. I just wanted to know how the giving has been an experience for you, because you are working with your second generation and third generation, I think. And I'm also wondering, what age are kids allowed to start making grant recommendations?
Well, we have, my daughter, my son, my other son, and me. Then we have grandchildren. And we're thinking about, I guess, getting them involved when they come on board. They're in their 20s, and they know what's going on. And I think they're going to be the ones that kind of step in when I'm gone. So we keep it in the family. Yeah.
And Ann, just so you know, she said she'd be glad to come as long as I didn't make her talk.
Oh no! Fail.
Does anybody else have any other questions? No, well, I just want to thank the families today for providing insight into their philanthropy. I think we should give them a round of applause.
numbers and looking at PowerPoints and trends and giving, and I think it was such a great opportunity for us to be in a very intimate setting with you all today and to have an opportunity to hear your all's personal stories and giving, so we certainly want to thank you for that. Our members know traditionally we give everyone a small gift, and it's usually a coffee mug. But in light of today and your family giving, we thought we'd do something a little different. So I'm actually giving you a card that's blank on the inside, and we wanted you to write the name of a charity of your choice. You don't have to do it now. You can think about it. You can actually go home and decide as a family, but we'd love to be able to make a gift in your honor and your participation today.
Thank you.
So thank you.
That is terrific.
We'll just wrap up. Sorry, stepping on things. I'll just wrap up by encouraging everyone, of course, to participate in next month's meeting, which is going to be focused on small and medium-sized corporate giving. I think sometimes we tend to look to those major corporations in town for funding and support, but the majority, as we know through the U.S. Giving Report, comes from smaller corporations. So Skylar's working, I think, with Jackie and putting a good program together, and